screwed. They're lost, broken, and desperate. And in some cases, they're even decomposing. And they've apparently decided that what they need is their very own Joe Rogan, since trying to censor and smear the actual Joe Rogan didn't work. So they're sending out the billionaire bat signal, assembling them to create their own version of the cue-balled commentator. According to Semaphore, reps from George Soros's group and execs from something called Crooked Media met at the offices of Steve Jobs' widow to strategize on how their media efforts failed them in 2024. They saw how wildly successful Trump was by going on Rogan, and they want to get some magic for themselves. But let me save them some time, Dems. It's not going to work. First, you used to have a Joe Rogan. It was called Joe Rogan. Yeah. So why bother to find a new one when you just drive that one away too? You're only going to punish and cancel anyone who might be a free thinker and not toe your doctrinal line. Anyone who might not fit within the narrow parameters of acceptable conversation is screwed. And any podcast audience will call bull the moment the guests announce their pronouns. We, they, them ain't having it. So how can you say you want something when you know you will destroy it or at least handicap it with impossible requirements? I'd rather listen to Rashida Tlaib getting a bikini wax. Do you not understand that's how you lost Rogan to begin with and millions of voters? Look, the right doesn't agree with Rogan on everything, but that's okay. We live with that, and so does he. The problem for today's lefty media landscape is that they can't. Because their ideas don't stand up to the scrutiny of a 5-minute segment, let alone a 3-hour podcast. But as Dems are desperately trying to find their leader in new media, they still got old media. Hell, the Crones on 60 Minutes started their careers using carrier pigeons. And apparently one of their recently fired wants traditional media to get in line and boycott the Trump White House.
When you have the White House banning the AP from the Oval Office, banning the AP from Air Force One, I think the rest of the press corps needs to start giving some serious consideration to whether or not it's worth, sending everybody into the Oval Office, sending everybody on Air Force One, sending everybody into the briefing room.
Well, that's some scintillating stuff. Poor thing. I guess he wants every journalist to be unemployed like him. But boycotting Trump coverage means boycotting themselves. I get it, though. They'd love any excuse not to cover all of Trump's wins, because right now our media mavens have that feeling you get when you're watching a stock you own dropping by the hour, and you realize that your pump and dump scheme is going down like Don Lemon at his next job interview. He's a terrible job interviewer. I don't see the... Your scam is up, media, and trust me, the hits are going to keep coming. Which raises this question. If the Dems were so certain that Trump's policies would fail, wouldn't they just sit back and let him fail? Their panic means they either know or they fear he will succeed and prove them wrong. And with Trump doing so much so fast, leave it to the never-Trumpers to do what little they can to make a fast buck. An event called the Principles First Summit convenes this weekend in D.C. What are their principles? Well, judging by the lineup, cashing in on whatever's left of Trump envy. The biggest and most bitterest names in the anti-Trump world will be there. Adam Kinzinger, Michael Steele, Bill Kristol, and George Conway. All that was missing was Joy Behar. And 16 green room coffee cakes. There are a few Dems to shore up the list of yesterday's pundits who've seen their audiences flee like Tim Waltz hearing a car backfire. So what you notice here is a sense of uselessness, a direction doomed to incompetence and frustration, but maybe a paycheck for the time being. These are the dinosaurs just after the big orange asteroid hit. But it's also about fear of change, a necessary part of life, which is why it's so weird to fear it. Everyone likes to be right, but that keeps us from seeing that we all share the possibility of changing when we ultimately aren't. The Never Trumper Conference meets under the title of Principles, but it's just a stubborn and sad refusal to look in the mirror, to admit that there is no way out as you continue down this narrow alley with no exit. It's no different than the left's search for a new Rogan. It's a dead end, one they chose because they were too scared to look at the signs staring them right in the face. Period.